Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If you're intelligent, if you work harder than most people, if you've read the books, watched the videos, followed the advice, then why are you still financially stuck? Why does money slip through your fingers the moment you get close to stability? Why do opportunities appear and somehow collapse right before they change your life? Here's the truth most people never hear. Like, your financial problem is not your income, it's not inflation, it's not the economy, it's a structure, an invisible structure that regulates how much success you're allowed to experience. And the most dangerous part, you didn't inherit it, you built it. Tonight I'm going to show you the 3 mental bars that keep capable people trapped in financial limitation, and the simple practices that dissolve them. Not theory, not motivation. A map out, stay with me. Let me tell you the story of 2 young architects. We'll call them James and David. Both graduated from the same class with the same exceptional talent. Both dreamed of building skyscrapers that touched the clouds. James was a rocket. In the first few years he took off, he earned well, closed projects, lived a comfortable life. But a subtle, destructive pattern would emerge whenever he was about to take a quantum leap to close that 7-figure contract, to be offered a partnership in the firm. Self-sabotage would step in like a thief in the night. I watched him do it. The night before a crucial presentation, instead of reviewing the project, he'd feel a need to go out with friends, arriving the next day with a clouded mind. And so when he received a substantial bonus, instead of investing it, a fabricated emergency would appear. The sudden conviction that he needed a luxury car to keep up appearances, an expense that devoured all his progress. And James lived in a cycle of almost there. He earned enough to be comfortable, but never enough to be free. His financial problems were like a shadow that followed him, growing in the same proportion as his success, ensuring he never escaped his own comfort zone. David, on the other hand, had a slower start. He didn't have the same explosive success, but David fought a different war, a silent war. Every night he would sit for 10 minutes in what he called his consciousness audit. He wasn't analyzing blueprints, he was analyzing himself. He would ask, where today did I act out of fear? Where did I feel small? Where did I doubt my own worth when speaking to a client? He would identify the exact scene, the hesitation in stating his price, the moment he felt intimidated by a competitor, and then in his mind he would rewrite the scene. He didn't just think positive, he relived it, feeling in his body the posture of confidence, hearing in his mind his own firm and calm voice, feeling the emotion of being worthy of that grand project. He went to bed not as the man who had faltered, but as the man who had won. While James, with every act of self-sabotage, reinforced the steel bars of his invisible cage, David, night after night, was dissolving his with the acid of awareness. 10 years later, James was still a competent but bitter and frustrated architect, stuck in his financial comfort zone, forever complaining about the luck of others. David was at the top of his own skyscraper, not just because he was a good architect, but because he had become internally the kind of man who builds empires. He understood that the most important structure to be built was not of concrete and steel, but of consciousness. You and I know dozens of Jameses. The world is full of them. Brilliant, talented people trapped in cages they cannot see. The question is, have you been acting like James, or are you ready to adopt the ritual of David? This cage that imprisoned James and that may be limiting you is forged from 3 master beliefs, 3 mental viruses that operate in your subconscious. The first bar, the belief of corruption. This is the idea that there is something inherently dirty or evil about wealth. So to remain a good person, your unconscious mind repels great financial opportunities. It is a misguided loyalty that costs you your freedom. The second bar, the belief of unworthiness. This is the most personal one. It is the echo of every criticism and every failure. It creates an internal financial thermostat. If you believe you are worth X, the moment life offers you 10X, your system panics and finds a way to get rid of the excess to return to the familiar temperature of your self-image. You cannot sustain a wealth you do not believe you deserve. The third bar, the belief of complexity. This is the idea that the path to wealth is an arcane labyrinth reserved for geniuses or insiders. This myth puts you in a state of paralysis. The fear of making a mistake becomes so great that you choose to do nothing, thereby guaranteeing the only mistake that matters, that of inaction. These three bars form a perfect prison. It is the checkmate of self-sabotage. But for every cage, there is a key. The escape plan is a set of 3 practical keys designed to dissolve each of these bars. The first key, the blessing of the flow, to dissolve the belief of corruption. From today on, every time money leaves your hand, take a pause, feel gratitude for the service you are receiving, and bless the money on its journey. Say mentally, I release this money with gratitude, and I know it returns to me multiplied for the good of all. You are transforming the pain of loss into the celebration of flow. The second key, the nightly editor, to dissolve the belief of unworthiness. This was David's secret. Every night, without fail, become the editor of your reality. Mentally relive any moment of the day where you acted out of fear or smallness. Now, rewrite and relive the scene as your highest, most confident version would act. Feel the emotion of acting from this new center of power. With this exercise, you pull out the weeds of doubt and plant the seeds of deservingness. The third key, the automated baby step, to dissolve the belief of complexity. Choose the most ridiculously simple way to invest: an index fund, a share of a company you love. Now, automate the purchase of the smallest possible amount that causes you no pain. $50, $20. The amount is irrelevant, the habit is everything. By automating the action, you are telling your brain, being an investor is part of who I am, it's automatic, it's not complicated, but you break the paralysis and build momentum. The blessing of the flow, the nightly editor, the automated baby step, these are not tips, they are practices for a new way of being. Life outside the cage doesn't mean your problems disappear overnight. It means you become bigger than your problems. Anxiety about the future is replaced by confidence in your process. Procrastination caused by fear is replaced by inspired action. The desperate search for a secret is replaced by the consistent application of fundamentals. You stop fighting reality and start creating it. You understand that money does not respond to your effort or your need. It responds to your identity. It responds to your consciousness. When you change who you are on the inside, the outside world has no choice but to rearrange itself around you to reflect this new truth. This is not magic. It is the fundamental law of the mind. Your current financial situation is just an echo of who you were yesterday. But it does not have to be the prophecy of who you will be. Tomorrow, the door to your cage has always been unlocked. The keys have always been in your pocket. Today, you have learned how to use them. The final question, the only one that matters, remains: what will you build now that you are free? If this conversation resonated with you, consider this your invitation to continue the work. Subscribe and join a community dedicated to building with consciousness. Like this video so this knowledge may find others who are ready to hear it. And share this map with one person you know is ready to escape their own cage. The work continues.